In today's Reddit cheating story, OP hears rumors about what his wife may have got up to during a bachelorette getaway weekend. The problem is, he doesn't know if this person is telling him the truth, because maybe, just maybe, they have something to gain from the fallout. To find out how this story ends, get yourself a coffee and grab a bowl of popcorn so we can get into it. Me and my darling wife Jen have been married for almost 14 years, and for the last 3, I've carried quite a burden. Someone told a friend of ours that my wife cheated on me, and while I've tried my best to believe my wife instead of this mysterious source, the damage may be done. Prior to us dating, my wife was a promiscuous party girl and admitted to not always being faithful to her boyfriends. She was 19 when we met, though, so keep that in mind. I've always felt like she's playing house with me and our 3 kids, and there have been various points in our relationship where she'd go out a lot and come home hammered. Sometimes she's been brought home by her friends who were also in terrible shape. They never went to clubs, and instead visited restaurants and bars. I always knew the people she was with, but more often than not, there always seemed to be friends of friends joining them. But to my knowledge, these were always other girls. During one of these outings, she was hanging with a couple we both know, Megan and Darren. She was closer to Megan than I was to Darren, but I liked him and considered him a friend. Darren would usually hang out with my wife and his, and it's worth mentioning that during these late nights, Jen would tell me that she'd be meeting up with a female friend for drinks while on the way home. Whenever she'd tell me that, it was code for, I'll be home at 11 o'clock or midnight. Drunk. Anyway, Megan and Darren were getting married in the fall, so Jen would be going on a bachelorette trip with Megan, which was about 3 hours away. There were about 6 girls plus Darren's mom, and every night, his mom would hang with them until it got late, after which she'd go back to her hotel. I made my concerns known and addressed the fact that she usually overdoes it, and being out of town made me nervous. I played the drinking card instead of saying, "Oh, you're going to cheat." They went on the trip, and she came back tired, as to be expected, but everything seemed fine. They did a pole dancing class, had dinner, and went dancing at a popular tourist trap dance club. The wedding day came, and I was still annoyed with her heavy and constant drinking, and at the reception, I couldn't help but notice that one of the girls was looking at me in a strange way. It's like she was sad for me or something, sort of how you'd look at someone at a funeral. I thought it was weird, but she's only 18. She's Darren's much younger sister-in-law, and I'm just kind of the old guy at the appetizer table. Fast forward about 3 months, and the girl who was looking at me all pitiful at the party tells her husband, Matthew, Darren's brother, about what really went down during their bachelorette trip. Darren called and told me that the girls started hanging out with a bunch of random guys during one of the nights, as the guys were throwing a bachelor party of their own. They were at the same dance club, so they all partied together. Then the girls got into the guys' limo and went to a strip club. The younger girls all had fake IDs, and one of them knew someone there, which is how they got in. Apparently, Jen spent most of her time with one partygoer in particular, and Megan stayed close with the bachelor from the other party. The other girls paired off with the remaining guys. Darren was freaking out because he did his best to have a mellow bachelor party so he didn't worry his fiancée. But instead of doing the same, she went all out. After he calmed down, I asked about my wife, wanting to know if she did more than lie to me. And he sent me a text back saying, she got fingered by a guy at the strip club. My heart sank, and I knew in that moment that I really loved my wife, and only someone I loved that much could hurt me so bad. Megan called my wife to let her know that Darren found out about what happened, so the word is out. My wife called me soon after and confessed to going to a strip club, and she was shocked when I let her know that I already had the scoop on her strip club adventure and the bachelor party. I asked about the physical cheating and she denied it, saying it was ridiculous. That said, she later admitted that she danced very inappropriately with this guy and he rubbed on her legs, ass, and hips. She sat in his lap during the limo ride and at the strip club. She said that he asked for a kiss, but she told him no. She still strongly denies the whole fingering thing, and apparently, when it got real late, she and the bride decided it was time to go. They left and called an Uber so they could go back to the hotel. And then the bride called the bachelor to make sure their friends made it out, which is supposedly all that happened. I can see it in my head because my wife has done this to me before. She'll get drunk in a strip club or dance club and start giving me a lap dance. And almost every time, she'd be facing me and dancing. Then I'd slide my hand up her dress so I could touch her and have some fun of my own. Since all this went down, we haven't hung out with that group. And while Darren's called me here and there, it's mostly about our kids. But the conversation always turns into talking about our wives, how we are, and if I've heard anything else about their trip. Megan says that she doesn't know for sure if my wife kissed the guy or got fingered. But if my wife says no, Megan said to believe her. But why would the sister-in-law lie? That makes no sense to me. I've had a couple buddies say that maybe she saw from a distance and assumed, or maybe she secretly hates my wife, or maybe she's dishing dirt. My wife says that the girl was so drunk she could hardly stand, so she's just talking shit. I also wonder why my wife never wanted to confront the sister-in-law. The two families literally cut ties and haven't hung out since. This isn't the first time that Jen has all of a sudden stopped hanging out with a friend. My wife is pretty, super likable and fun, but when she's drunk and out, she acts different. Something tells me that they don't trust their wives with mine because my wife is wild and cheats. From the moment the bombshell was dropped, what little trust I had was shot to hell. She's only had one late drunk night episode since, and she was drink driving and smashed into a curb before it got too late. Am I being a chump? Do I look like an idiot to everyone? I know that divorce means that I'll destroy the life I have with my kids. I see them every day, and they're everything to me. But the world as we know it will never be the same if I ask for a divorce in order to relieve myself of the burden. Divorce would also be to save my pride, because if she was the one to leave me, I'd feel like an even bigger simp. It's hard to say for sure if OP's wife cheated on him during the bachelorette party, but given her lifestyle choices, I wouldn't at all be shocked. Having seen how wild things get during bachelor and bachelorette parties, I would half expect something like this to happen. Outside of the cheating, though, OP's wife seems to be unable to leave behind her party years, which is obviously very destructive to their marriage. It's possible that she has a problem with alcohol too, which should be addressed sooner rather than later. When it comes to the reason as to why the friend spilled the truth about what OP's wife did during their trip, I tend to lean towards her telling the truth about what she saw. While some people have alluded to her being jealous, she seems so far removed from OP and his relationship that she would have no reason to be. Also, I've been in a situation where I know someone has been cheated on, and you can't help but look at them with pity, especially when you're not in a position to approach that person directly. Also, OP's wife didn't do herself any favors by leaving out this part of her adventure, and we all know that when alcohol is flowing, people tend to make very poor decisions. Hence, OP's wife's more recent drink driving disaster. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video on coffee and popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.